Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Our guest today was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at age 24. By age 29, she was paralyzed, could not walk, wash, or feed herself. Today, she's going to show you how to align with your mind and body so you can stop your self-sabotaging behaviors. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and help us welcome to the Mental Detox podcast our good friend, Amanda Campbell.
Welcome.
Wow. What a way to start. Age 24, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. You might have heard it called MS. And then by age 29, you're paralyzed.
Yep, that was a lot. It was a lot.
How did that impact your life?
Well, when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at age 24, what I know now looking back is from that moment on, I really started to focus on what I didn't want and what I was scared that might happen, that I might end up disabled, bedridden, or worse. So I went out later and I worked harder and I disconnected more and more from my body, denying how I really felt about that because it was a really difficult thing to process. But I didn't understand that was actually taking me on a negative path where 5 years later, my worst fears were realized. And at age 29, the entire left-hand side of my body became paralyzed. So my face dropped, my arm twisted, my hip, leg, and foot just completely stopped working. And I couldn't wash, walk, or feed myself. And so I was living in rehabilitation and I was there for 2 months and I was faced with never walking again. But there was one day where everything changed. My toe moved for the first time and it was in that moment, and there was a lot of reasons why that happened, and it was really receiving joy because in this world of polarity that we live in, long story short, the girls took me out for dinner, we laughed and I just felt so much joy after going through such a hard time. And my toe moved for the first time for whatever reason, but it was in that moment I shifted my focus. With hope, I started to focus on what I wanted instead of what I didn't want, and little did I know that would change everything for me, because what you deeply believe is what matters, not what you want. Your goals are important, but it's not enough just to make things happen. What you believe can be possible for you and what you believe about yourself is what will dictate your health, and also how you manifest things in your life.
I want to go back to that moment where you said that your face dropped.
Yeah.
What?
So my face dropped. So the muscles just became paralyzed. So I had a coach who helped me smile again and make my face even again. It was hectic.
Wow. And then the left-hand side become paralyzed. So how do you live normal life when the left-hand side of your body is paralyzed?
Well, I needed a lot of care. So I couldn't feed myself, couldn't wash myself. There's a lot of things you can't do without your left, without two hands and two legs, I realized. And yeah, I mean, you work it out. There's a lot of tools that help you to, I had to learn how to eat with one hand, and they give you in hospital a fork and a knife that's in one, a two in one.
A splade?
Stuff like that.
A spork or a splade?
Yeah, a splade. Let's go with that. I didn't think about it, but
the face dropped. The left-hand side's paralyzed.
Yeah.
And these are the things we can see from the outside. What's happening internally? What's happening inside of your head? What's happening to you emotionally?
Well, I started to believe that I wasn't going to achieve what everybody else would. I didn't believe in myself. I lost faith that I was going to live a normal life. So I lost belief in what was possible for me and my capability. But that all changed because I had no choice but to succeed. And when I found hope and my toe moved for the first time, I had to change my mind and what I was believing to get different results. So when my toe moved, then I thought, oh, well, maybe my leg will move, maybe my back will move. And slowly, without the use of my body for quite some time now, I very quickly learned the power of my mind. And there's an inner conflict that many of us live with having a goal. And if we don't believe in ourselves or what can be possible, there's an inner conflict that brews. Focusing on what you want with journaling and meditation, by washing your mind, just as you would wash your body, you will clear your mindset and you will elevate your energy. How does a performer get ready to elevate the crowd on, when they're on stage? You need to prep your morning and your day to elevate your energy, because you want to give the mind and body the best environment to be open to change. And I believe that flexibility builds resilience. And only when we're relaxed and in the moment can we be open to changing our minds about ourselves and what can be possible for us, and therefore our health and what we bring into our lives.
Can you loop back around to focusing on what you want?
Yes.
Versus focusing on what you don't want? Because I know when I was driving to work years ago, I'd say, I don't want to be late. And every time I said I don't want to be late, every grandmother drove their car in front of me. Every red light mysteriously turned on. Every car park that I tried to park my bloody car into, somebody stole it from me.
And that's called cognitive dissonance, because we always try and make our deep beliefs true. That's how our brain's designed. It's also how the reticular activation system works, which is a filter system in the brain. Yes. And whatever you're believing is what you will notice more around you, and that's how all that works. So what you're focused on is important. And the more you focus on what you want every day and it's consistent, the old synapses that used to fire out to the old memory, where you used to focus on the negative and what you don't want, actually stop firing if you're consistent. And it's so simple. Meditate every morning, journal every morning, get all of your thoughts out of your head, get it onto paper, and then drop out of your head and into your heart. And when you're calm and in the moment, you are in your most creative state. When you are stressed, you're focused on the past, or you're over-analyzing the future, and it's all irrelevant stuff that hasn't even happened.
You mentioned before about, I think the words were dissociating from or disconnecting from your body.
Yeah.
A lot of people live disconnected, but it's become the status quo. So they would not know that they're disconnected. What are some ways that they can start to identify that they are disconnected?
Well, in my private practice, I'm a sports kinesiologist. I see clients at my clinic, and pain in the body is one huge way. Physical symptoms are an end result of us not listening to something. And Dr. John Sarno, who's a surgeon who specialized in mind-body connection.
Feeling back pain.
Yes. And he believes that pain is a way for us to dissociate from our negative emotions that we're not ready to deal with and that we've suppressed. So I use kinesiology in the same way, where it allows me to bring into my awareness, or my clients' awareness, what they've suppressed and what's blocking them. And hence, recognizing what their inner conflict is, whether I'm working on MS or anxiety or depression or any physical or mental ailment. You've got to get to the bottom of what is the inner conflict for them and help them to change their mind about their story, which may or may not be true anymore, and to shift that alignment. And that is literally the bottom line of what creates change, no matter what you're going through.
In Dr. John Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain, he was a back surgeon for more than 20 years. And after 20 years, he went back and surveyed his customers, and they all had pain. And to his credibility, he got out of the field. And he was talking about the mind-body connection. So at a conscious level, people might be telling a story that, hey, everything's fine, I'm having a wonderful day. But at a subconscious level, is that where the conflict's coming from?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think another way to identify that, by the way, is, where you feel like in your heart or just in your body, you just have this lack of willpower, lack of motivation, and you can't really pinpoint why that's happening. That's another sign that you've dissociated or you've disconnected. Things don't seem to be working out around you. Let's say person A wakes up and they're the kind of person that's going through stuff in their lives, and they're believing, oh, nothing really works out for me. And they might lose their keys and they're late to work. They'll react like this: oh, of course I lost my keys, not another thing today. Whereas a person that's believing, no, things are working out for me, I believe in myself, they're a bit more positive and in their mindset on that day, they'll lose their keys, and they might, they'll react like this: oh, bugger, I lost my keys. but they'll problem solve and just get over it. It won't deeply affect them.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yep. So Amanda, I think what you have shared with us and then your personal story is phenomenal, because when I went to look at your video.
No, she didn't look at them. She stalked you. She watched them all.
I think it's really phenomenal. But I just want to ask you that for our audience, what can we learn from your experience to stop self-sabotage today? You know, because as you mentioned.
Yes, I think sabotage is a mirror image of what you're believing. And to recognize what you're believing, there's a lot of different techniques that help you get into the subconscious brain, such as kinesiology. But a way you can just do that every day is check your reactions. How you react is a mirror image of what you're believing, which is what I just explained before. So if you're reacting in a negative way, I just go, oh, what belief is that making true? Is this belief true? And can I change my mind about it? Start with smaller changes as well. Brush your teeth with a different hand, drive or walk on different routes, because when you change your mind about the smaller things, it translates to the bigger ones. And you really want to be as flexible in your mind and body as possible to be open to change. And obviously movement and nutrition are other key players.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people around the country who are very disconnected, and they need a hand getting reconnected to their body. And they know it, because you get this feeling, and we call it a feeling of unfulfilled potential. You're working really hard and you get very little results. So what's the best way for our friends who aren't feeling like they're performing at their best? How can they reach out and how can they connect with you?
My website has all the links. So Amanda Campbell, campbell.com.au.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we will also put the link in the feed below. Make sure you click on it. And I've watched your videos as well. It's amazing to think that somebody can be diagnosed at 24 with MS, to be paralyzed at 29, and now a decade later, all the CAT scans show that they're free from the disease. So it's a credit to you and what you've done. Congratulations.
I'm very grateful. And I'm about to turn 40, so.
Oh my gosh. When? Let us in. When? What month?
Next month.
Next month.
Wow.
Okay. Congratulations. Well,
end of March. So my twin sister and I are going to have a big party.
Awesome.
okay.
Awesome.
Well done. Well, thank you for joining us and sharing your wisdom with us. And ladies and gentlemen, go over to amandacampbell.com.au, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks so much, Daniel. And thanks, Nini. Thanks for having
me.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day. Ciao for now.
Bye. Brilliant.